So, anyway, welcome. I'm doing a study starting where I'm going to do an Old Testament chapter in the morning and a New Testament chapter at night. And it'll take approximately a little under 2 years to do. And I've had some people who wanted me to post for preaching yourself is the best way to learn. So I'm going to preach some sermons, and I've had some people that said, hey, we'd like to hear it, kind of comment on it. So I'm going to be doing this about once a week, maybe more. And today I'm going to start off from Genesis 1, verse 1 through 5. So, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. So that kind of just kicks us off this morning. So just kind of diving right in, as it were, to this. We see first in verse 1, it talks about in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So it starts off talking about God was uh, before anything else. He was in the beginning. It was, which is hard for us to understand with our finite minds and the fact that we are humans, so we weren't created. So it's hard to imagine anything that wasn't ever created, that it was just there. It doesn't make sense because everything we've ever seen was created. Everything around us is created. The only thing not created is God. So, and then in verse 2, it talks about the earth having no form. So it's kind of maybe this is just my ADD mind, kind of stupid thing. I imagine this big floaty ball of jello just kind of like in space or something. I mean, and all God had, because it was all water. There was no dry land yet. So, and then in verse 3, God says, "Let there be light," and there was light. This shows God's amazing power and love. I mean, he's the first artist. Everything he does is very intricate, but all he had to do was speak light into being. Something as complicated as light and as complex, he just spoke it into being. He just said, "Let there be light," which goes against people. If you believe in the Bible, it's kind of hard to believe the theory that God just created nitrogen and then sat back and just kind of let things happen. And then it talks about God separating the light from the darkness in verse 4, just as Jesus is the light, separated from the darkness, and as we're called to be lights set apart from the darkness in this dark world. And then in verse 5, it concludes, and that's the first day. And I mean, I know me personally, I come home from a long day at work, like, oh, I worked so long, I'm so tired, I just kind of whine about it. I don't want to sit around and do nothing, but God doesn't, you don't hear any complaining here or anything. It's not until day 7 that he takes a break, which we'll find about in the next chapter if you read along with me, which I would encourage you to do so, even though I'm not going to be doing necessarily a teaching on everything, just to kind of follow along.